So today's video will be kind of like a monthly reset for the month of June. May was a really crazy month for me. Not only was it very busy, but my husband and I were talking about this and we feel like so much happened in this month. We've learned so much, and that's just basically what I wanted to briefly go over in this format where we'll look at the word together. And so, there's two main things that I really wanted to touch on. And the first thing that, I'm in my early 30s, but one thing that I have learned so far, in the short time I've been on earth, is that to everything in life, there is a season. And I revisit this verse quite often. Every time something happens in my life, I feel like I just revisit it because it's just so true. I think the more life you live, the more you realize how much truth there is. To Ecclesiastes chapter 3. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And it just talks about, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, a time to heal. It just goes through. Even with COVID, I thought it was so interesting how it says a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Prior to 2020, I have always thought, okay, why would there be a time to refrain from embracing? God knows everything. He knows that there's a time for everything, and to everything in life, there's seasons. And the thing about seasons, even if you think about weather, we can't control it. We have no control over the seasons of weather. And even so, we do, if you live in certain places in the world, you have all 4 seasons, or if you live, in the Caribbean, closer to the equator, perhaps you have pretty much, the rainy season, and you have the dry season, and, the temperature is the same all the time. But even if you look at the days from day to day, the weather, that's always changing. Everything is in constant motion and change, and we need to respect that and honor that. And for me, what I learned is not only can we not control the seasons, but we need to make sure that we keep moving forward. We can't get stuck in a certain season of life. Sometimes I will get really comfortable in life and like, okay, wow, there's no major issues right now. Everything seems to be going pretty well. And I want to just kind of stay in my comfort zone when God is prompting me to get up and move to something else, keep moving forward, do this, make yourself a little bit uncomfortable and do this for me. And I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with change, but that's just life, Things change, people change. You can't have the same relationships that you had when you were 17 and necessarily bring that to, forward until your 40s, And of course, that's not like, of course, it all depends. Not, maybe some people have been dating the same person since they were teens and now they're still married in their 40s. I don't mean that in a literal sense, but things change, people change, times change. You have to be adaptable and you have to be willing to change with that. And that's one thing that I've learned. You can wake up one day and just from one moment to the next receive news that'll either change your life for the better or for the worse. It'll either give you joy or put you in grief and sorrow. And so, man, that is just the harsh reality of life, is that things are constantly changing and there's always a season for everything. It's also made me appreciate my community. And community is basically just the people who are around you. Not necessarily, only your family, because sometimes, family is not always there for you, but just the people who are around you, and if you feel like you don't have a community and you're not plugged into a church yet, join a church, become active in the church, volunteer, make good use of your spare time and build a community and appreciate those around you, because you just never know. The second thing that I thought was so helpful for me this month was minding your thought life. And I think, I said this in the beginning of the year that I want to focus on my heart this year and make sure that my heart is right with God, because, man sees our outward, right? But God knows the heart. He judges the heart and the thoughts and the things that we harbor in our heart. And you can hide that from each other, right? We can hide, our thoughts and everything from each other, but we can't hide it from God. Can't hide anything from God. And so I wanted to make sure that my heart was right. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And that was really helpful for me, because sometimes I'll think about stuff and situations and I'll just ruminate. Have you ever had a situation where, you think that the other person was thinking something and you're kind of just thinking, well, I hope they don't think this. I hope they don't think that. I hope they are, they understand where I was coming from. Do you know what I mean? But the first part of this verse helped me so much. It says, whatever is true. And that's what I start off with, and, if you have anxiety, then maybe you can relate to what I'm talking about, because sometimes anxious thoughts can present itself as true and as fact when it's not. And we're sitting there being anxious and ruminating over something that hasn't even happened yet. That's not true. Whatever is true. So start with that. If something's bothering you, stop and think to yourself, is this true right now? And if it's not, then you have to just let it go and move on. That's a great first step, because for me, 80% of the time, it's not true, whatever I'm ruminating on. Then next, you can ask yourself, is this noble? Is this right? Is this pure? Is this lovely? If you're thinking about things that have happened to you in the past, if you keep thinking about it over and over and over, of course, you're going to keep harboring bitterness in your heart towards that person. Of course, it's going to be hard to forgive that person, because you're not thinking about what is true and right. And, sometimes things will pop into my mind, things that happen that people have apologized for, and I will get upset about it, and I'll spend half my day thinking about it. And then I have to snap out of it and just think, you know what? Why am I even thinking about that? That, the person's apologized to me, or even if they didn't apologize, maybe they never apologized, whatever, I can't ruminate on that. That's not good for me and my mental health. And then it also makes it difficult to not be bitter towards that person when God does not want us to be bitter. James chapter 3, verse 13, who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done, and the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. So we need to be really careful, because our thoughts can lead us either in having thoughts of life and things that are edifying, or things like this. It says, you can harbor that bitter envy. Have you ever seen someone that's, doing better than you? And just for a second, I'm just keeping it real with you. Sometimes we all have those feelings, right? Just for a second, you're like a little bit jealous, right? Oh, they're doing a little bit better than you, or they're doing or have something that you want. And instead of having joy for them and being happy for them, maybe you're a little bit jealous. Those are not of God. It says, let's see. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition, and, being jealous and selfish are all so self-focused, and it takes the focus away from God. It takes the focus away from, how can I serve others? How can I serve God? How can I be grateful for what God has done for me in my life? And it focuses on yourself. It's important to continuously read these passages, because we're human and we all make mistakes. And I find that I need to continuously remind myself to not be like this, because all have sinned and fall short. We are, hardwired. We sin. We are human beings as flesh. And because of that, we need to make sure that, at least me, I need to make sure that I'm constantly in my word. And I can tell the days where I haven't opened up my Bible or haven't prayed that day. And I can tell my heart posture and my decisions and the things that I say, the things that I think are not the same as the days when I am in my word and I'm focused on God. And I don't know. Those are just the things that I've learned for this month, the things that I felt like were a huge priority to me for this month. Things are constantly changing, and just be really mindful of your thought life. Your thought life is something that is tricky, because not others can see it, but God can see it. And truly, that's all that matters to me. You don't have to like me. That's totally fine. I know that God knows my heart, and I know that God sees me as a person. So sees me in my heart and what it is. But yeah, that's it for today. Let me know what you learned. Let me know what you learned for the month of May. I would love to hear. And